episode, we will examine the role of the leader of the ladies' caravan, Lady Zainab. Lady Zainab was the third child of Imam Ali and Lady Fatima. Her role in Karbala was significant and decisive. At the time of Karbala, she was almost 56 years old and a mother of 4 sons. 2 of them were Aun and Muhammad, and they were with her in Karbala. They fought for their uncle Imam Hussein. It is said that she was born either in the 5th Hijri or in the 6th Hijri. She was brought up by the Holy Prophet, Imam Ali and Lady Fatima. Her brothers Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein always accompanied her and showed her utmost respect. In Islam, the people of the cloak are the most supreme and beloved personalities of Allah, and growing up under the shadow of these people meant Allah rewarded and elevated her status spiritually. On the matter of choosing her name, it is said that when Lady Zainab was born, her mother Lady Fatima asked Imam Ali to name her, on which the Imam replied,
"I will not precede the Messenger of Allah in such a matter."
Then Lady Fatima went to the Holy Prophet and asked him to name her, on which Prophet Muhammad replied,
"I will not precede my Lord in such a matter."
Eventually, Angel Jibrail came and said that,
"This newborn's name is Zainab. Almighty Allah has chosen this name for her."
The name Zainab can literally be translated as pride of the father, and some say it means a father's precious jewel. At a young age, it is said that she learnt the Holy Quran and the Holy Prophet's teachings on Islamic law and ethics by heart. Therefore, she seems to have gained a deep knowledge of the religion at a very early stage. It is said that when she was young, she saw a dream. She went to the Holy Prophet and explained her dream, that she saw a violent wind that made everybody look black and dark. As a result, she ran towards a great tree and held strongly to its leaves so that the wind would not take her away. But the wind unfortunately tore away the tree and threw it to the ground. She then told the Holy Prophet how she held onto the strong branch of that tree, but the wind broke it off. She then described how she held onto another branch, but that the wind broke that too. She then said that she tried to hang on to 1 or 2 of the leaves from that tree, but that the stormy wind broke that too. She then told the Prophet she woke up. While listening to this, tears came to the Prophet's eyes, and he interpreted her dream as,
"The tree is your grandfather. The first branch is your mother and the other is your father. The 2 other branches are your brothers, Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein. The world will be blackened when they leave it, and you will put on a mourning dress for their misfortunes."
From a young age, she had witnessed all the miseries her father, mother, and brother Imam Hassan had faced. She was aware when the Battle of Jamal took place, and she helped in the campaigning for her father Imam Ali among the Arab women. Similarly, when Lady Fatima went to the first Caliph to ask for her rightful inheritance, which in turn was denied by the Caliph, Lady Zainab observed and remembered the speech given then by her mother. So Lady Zainab had grown up in an environment where her family was constantly the target of ruthless and oppressive rulers. The Arab society of the time was a patriarchal society where the role of women in politics was minimal. Although there are historical accounts of the Prophet's daughter Lady Fatima going to the court of the first Caliph to demand her inheritance right, many women of the time did not stand up for their rights. Indeed, both women played an essential role in their times, and a comparison of them would only bring the greatness of this family. But when we explore further in post-Ashura settings, out of many roles, Lady Zainab also acted as a commander-in-chief of the remaining caravan. Lady Zainab was very close to her father Imam Ali. When Imam Ali had become the Caliph, he made Kufa his capital. By that time, Lady Zainab was married to her first cousin Abdullah ibn Jafar, and she was living in Medina. It is widely narrated that when Imam Ali used to feel absence of his beloved daughter, he used to ask his son Imam Hassan to bring her to Kufa. Some scholars agree that she remained attached to him till his last days. She learnt all the skills which she would use soon in Karbala. The most remarkable event after Ashura was her sermon in the court of Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Many scholars argue that her sermons completely changed the course of Karbala, as she presented her case as someone who had just won the war. She didn't even reflect that she had lost more than half of her family. This bravery was something really exceptional. Although she was leading the caravan, Lady Zainab knew the importance and the value of the Imam. Imam Zain al-Abidin's age was between 23 to 26 at the time of Karbala. After Imam Hussein, he became the Imam of his time, and his period started right after the beheading of his father. So it became an important responsibility for Lady Zainab to protect her Imam from every danger. It is said that she took the lead and always used to stand in front of him for his protection in case if anybody tried to attack him. According to one narration, when Imam Zain al-Abidin was sentenced to death in Yazid's court, Lady Zainab furiously warned that they will have to kill her first before the Imam. This then gave the Imam the opportunity to speak in the court of Yazid. Lady Zainab did not have any sword. The only thing she had was the legacy of her family, which made her determined, persistent, and fearless. Her sermons were strong enough to defeat Yazid to confess his crime while standing right in front of his throne. She challenged and proved that the women of the Prophet's family are as strong and as determined as the men. According to historians, when Yazid called the heads of the Karbala martyrs and put them in front of her, the sermon she gave was highly effective and assertive that she made Yazid feel guilty. When leaving Medina, when Ibn Abbas, uncle of the Holy Prophet, came to know that Imam Hussein is going towards Kufa, he asked Imam not to take his household with him, as Kufa was not safe for his family. In response to that, Lady Zainab said,
"O Ibn Abbas, do you suggest our leaders embarking on this journey alone and leaving us behind? Do we have anybody except him as our guardian? Never. We live with him and die with him."
When Imam Hussein's caravan reached Karbala, tents were set up, and the night before Ashura, when Umar ibn Sa'd marched towards Imam Hussein's camp, Lady Zainab heard the sound of horses coming. She approached Imam Hussein and said,
"My brother, do you not hear the sound of the army coming towards us?"
Imam Hussein replied,
"I just saw the messenger of God, peace and blessings of God upon him, in my vision. He said to me, 'You're marching towards us.'"
Then Lady Zainab slapped her face and cried out.
"Woe to me!"
Imam Hussein said,
"Woe is not for you. Be quiet. May God have mercy on you."
The eve of Ashura was heartbreaking, knowing that it was almost impossible to survive in this battle. One popular narration says that when Imam Hussein came to his camp and recited a poetry to the servant of Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, that his time has finally come to leave this world. Imam Zain al-Abidin narrated that when Lady Zainab heard Imam Hussein's poem, she couldn't stop herself and went to Imam Hussein and said,
"I'm going to be deprived of a brother. I wish that death had overtaken my life. My mother Fatima is dead, and so is my father Ali and my brother Hassan. O successor of the one who passed away, and the supervisor of those who are still living."
When Ali Akbar, son of Imam Hussein, was martyred, Lady Zainab came out and cried. Imam Hussein rushed towards her and took her back to the tent and consoled her. Then when forces led by Umar ibn Sa'd advanced to kill Imam Hussein, Lady Zainab said,
"O Umar ibn Sa'd, will you just passively watch while Aba Abdullah is being killed?"
One by one, every member of her family was brutally killed. She was standing and looking at her two sons, Aun and Muhammad, being beheaded. She screamed when a poisoned spear passed through the throat of her 6-month-old nephew, Abdullah, also known as Ali Asghar. She beat her face seeing the forces of Yazid surrounding her brother, who wanted to also behead him. After all this bloodshed and brutality, Lady Zainab was left with only one nephew and his son, and some children and women. Yazid's forces started capturing the remaining members and drove the women and children out by torching their tents. It is said that Lady Zainab did not even get the time to mourn for her family, as she had to take the command to protect all the women and the children. Indeed, those ordeals of 40 days which started on Ashura and ended on Arba'in were the most tough and painful for Lady Zainab, because the horror did not leave her even after Ashura, as her little niece Ruqayya bint Hussein died in Yazid's prison in Damascus. When Yazid decided to release the Prophet's family from prison, Lady Zainab wanted to mourn for her brother, which she was unable to do since the day of Ashura. So she gathered women and organized the first majlis, which laid the foundation of Azadari. It is disputed amongst historians whether they were released the same year of the battle or a year later. However, it is established that it was the day of Arba'in when they reached Karbala on their return. When she arrived in Karbala, it was a heart-wrenching scene. Lady Zainab's struggle seemed to be unending, as rulers of her time did not let her live in tranquility. Since then, millions of devotees visit the shrine of Imam Hussein every year on Arba'in, considering it as a sunnah of Lady Zainab. There is no doubt that Lady Zainab's character was exceptional. Indeed, her courage and wisdom made her victorious against the powerful Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Looking at the events that took place after Ashura, one thing is clear, that the women of Karbala were supreme and ahead of their time. They defied Yazid's corrupt practices, challenged him in his own seat of power, and most importantly, kept Karbala alive and upheld the supremacy and the infallibility of the Ahl al-Bayt. The women of Karbala turned hostilities into opportunities and informed people about the purpose of the tragedy of Karbala. It is interesting and also highly important to understand the concept and presence of the Imam. All women sacrificed their sons for the sake of Imam Hussein, and when Imam Hussein was martyred, his son Ali ibn Hussein, Zayn al-Abidin, subsequently became Imam of his time. Despite immense humiliation, suppression and torture at various places, the women of Karbala came forward to protect the Imam, knowing his divine importance. This act of allegiance is beyond the human nature of self-devotion, which the women of Karbala showed for their Imam. Those who criticize and accuse Islam of being oppressive to women need to look at post-Karbala events and the family of Imam Hussein. The women in Karbala did not only support Imam Hussein, but they led the whole campaign against Yazid afterwards. The tragedy of Karbala was not just an ordinary event. Karbala signifies and draws a line between right and wrong, between the guided and the ignorant, between the oppressed and the oppressor. Had it not been for the women in the camp with Imam Hussein, all these distinctions would have been difficult to determine.